Hello and welcome to this tutorial. Today we'll check out our editor a little and prepare it so we can use it for this series. We will look at where we can find it, compare the original WordPress editor to the Cwicly extension, and take a tour around the editor by looking at some important parts. And with that, let's dive right in. We can find the editor everywhere where it is enabled. This might sound a little cryptic, but we can find it, for example, in our posts and pages area over here, because for those it is enabled by default. But we can also choose to disable it afterwards and specify the editor state when creating a new post type. Additionally, it is available for templates and parts, which can be found in the Cwicly theme area over here. And sorry for bringing you so many unknowns, but we'll reserve that for a future topic. So now let's enter our editor by creating a new post of the type pages over here. And this is our editor. Now, if you are thinking that this looks quite similar to the WordPress editor, you are right. Cwicly seamlessly integrates with the WordPress editor and significantly enhances its capabilities. For reference, this is how the pure WordPress editor looks. And this is a peek on how it will look by following the steps in this tutorial. So back to the newly created page. What we can see here is our canvas, our quick inserter to the left, the header bar up top, and our settings and inspector tab to the right. And before we get into more details, let's set up our UI in the way we will be using it in this series. For that, let's activate our navigation tab here in the quick inserter bar. With that, we can see our navigation popping up. We will move the navigation to the left by selecting the dock left button here in the header. Later you can still change this by hovering here in the top of the navigator. Next we go into our inspector by clicking the Cwicly symbol up in the top right. Here let's go to the settings tab and into the backend area. With that we can tweak our editor settings a little. Since I like the dark mode, I will go with that here. I also prefer the inspector on my left hand side, which gives me more freedom and less mouse movement while creating pages. With that, we can see it is now here on the left. When we go down, we can also change the background color of our canvas. Depending on the project, my choice varies here. So when I have a light website, I choose the light background. And if I have a dark website, I choose the dark background. In this case, we will leave it bright. The other values stay as they are for now. And if you don't like the layout, you can freely change this to the settings you prefer. And the last thing that we will prepare is that we will add a div block over here and turn on the tailwind mode by clicking this icon. With that, let's take a look at the editor. This white area over here is our canvas. Here we can add and see all the blocks that we have in our post. We can also interact with the blocks, move them around, and customize their settings to a certain degree. But more on that in a later tutorial. Next is the post header, which is the whole area over here. First, we have some native WordPress menu points, like the WordPress icon here, which redirects us to the post type area where we came from. If we are editing templates or parts, a settings area, like here, would open. From there, we only have to again click on the WordPress icon, which then redirects us to the dashboard. I personally like to open the editor in a new tab, but more on all this in a later tutorial. Next, we can toggle our block inserter to add blocks. A small info on the side: all Cwicly blocks have a small icon in the upper right, so we can differentiate them from others. And in this series, we will stay fully in the Cwicly block environment. The next icon is for the WordPress tools, and we will skip that one since it does not provide us with any functionality. Then we have the typical undo and redo buttons. Next come some Cwicly menu items. The first area is where we can add the post title. And let's do this real quick with an appropriate title like testing page. Next are our breakpoints. By hovering on the icon and going down to the three dots, we can open our breakpoint menu. In here, we want to reset our breakpoints to the Tailwind ones. We do this by clicking on the Tailwind icon here, and will later regenerate our block styles like described here. Next, we can set our view area, which reduces or expands the preview of our canvas. Then there are our pseudostates, our dynamic preview, and our dark and light mode, which we will cover in a different tutorial. Next is our publish and save button for our post. So let's just try that right away. Then we have our Cwicly inspector toggle like before, which allows us to hide the tab. Additionally, it has our global area as a prefix. Next to that, we are toggling the same tab only with the block prefix. And when we have no blocks selected, it will show us the default WordPress post settings. And that was all for now about the post header. Now let's take a look at the Quick Inserter. Here on the left-hand side, we can see our Quick Inserter bar. At the top, we have our Cwicly design library, our components library, and our navigation. We can toggle these, just like the inspector, on and off. And we will also reserve all these for a different tutorial. Okay, back to the Cwicly Inserter. Here, we can place our most often used Cwicly blocks. To remove a block, we can simply hover over it and click the X that pops up next to it. I will remove the columns, buttons, and icon block since we will not be using them. If we want to add additional blocks, we can go to the plus icon below and scroll through the blocks or simply search for them in this field. I will add some additional blocks like the SVG, query, repeater, and inner block. Additionally, we can organize the blocks with the button next to it. In the active state, we can simply drag and drop our blocks in the preferred order. By clicking on it again, we can deactivate it. With the Cwicly Inserter, we can simply add blocks to our canvas by clicking on them. I will add an additional header and a paragraph. We can now see the added blocks in our navigator and the corresponding results in our canvas. Now a little more about our inspector. When no block is selected, the default WordPress page information is displayed. But when we select either a block in the canvas or the navigator, the inspector will display our block information. But this is exclusive to the Cwicly blocks. For example, if we take a default Gutenberg paragraph, the WordPress inspector will take over. So let's remove that real quick and go on. Okay, now the inspector has three main areas. The block area, where we can modify our selected block. The global tab, where we can make global changes for our color palette, the typography, certain block elements, our tailwind settings, and our general settings, where we tweak the editor at the beginning. Then we also have the style sheets area, where we can add global style sheets, global classes, and external classes. But we will delve into this further when we are actually using the editor. So whenever in the feature an editor is mentioned, like the WordPress Editor or the Cwicly Editor, we are talking about this whole area. And that's it for the editor. Let's quickly update and go into the backend since we still want to regenerate our styles for our breakpoints. For that, let's click on the WordPress symbol and hop when reaching the backend into our Cwicly settings here. Then, in the regeneration area, we will click through our blocks and styles real quick. And that's it for today. We had a short intro on the editor, modified it for this series, and regenerated our styles. If you spot any errors, have suggestions for improvement, or ideas for future topics, please let me know in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful in any way, consider showing your support with a like and a subscription. Your feedback helps me understand if I'm on the right track and motivates me to create even more content. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you in the next one.